I want to bring in this morning Advisor Investment CIO Jim Lowell. Also joining the conversation all morning long, I've got Fox News contributor Liz Peek and Michael Lee Strategy founder Michael Lee. Guys, good morning to all of you. It's great to have you with me. And Michael, economists across the boards point to the fact that we have seen surging inflation in this country, in particular because of the massive amount of spending that we did in 2021. A lot of that pushed through with President Biden's agenda and the Democrats. But enough is enough.
Yeah, Cheryl, this plan is not popular. I would kind of disagree with Liz on the fact that where are the other senators? In the words of Kristen Sinema, there's 10 to 15 senators hiding behind her skirt. So Joe Manchin is happy to take these bullets from the squad. This is a sort of WWE-style theatrics. It's going to help Joe Manchin dramatically get reelected, while a lot of these other senators that aren't putting their hands up are not going to get primaried by some far-left candidate and lose in a Democratic primary because they don't have to come forward right now. This bill is dead. The Democrats have nothing else to bring to the table right now. This was the centerpiece legislation. If it dies, so does the rest of the Biden agenda. Right now, his approval ratings are as low as any president on record. You're in the 20s with independents after winning 54% in the general election. You've really seen the world and the walls come crashing down around this administration. And so I'd expect to continue to see them to try to hammer this and their voting rights legislation to just to stay in the news and to act like they're doing something while simultaneously trying more lockdowns and more COVID restrictions because that at one point was the only thing they were really pulling above water on.
Yeah, well, and obviously that is not happening yet in parts of the country and may likely not, in particular here in New York City. They might have learned their lesson when it comes to these restrictive policies. Mike, I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to talk about it more in the show later on. Well, and that's the question. I want to take that to Mike Lee because I know that you like the material and the industrial sectors, Mike, but to Fred's point, those are sectors that are also going to be seeing higher wages and inflation pressures, and also the supply chain issues are probably going to continue.
Yeah, I think these are good early mid-cycle plays, and I think they both work in inflationary environments because they have a tremendous amount of pricing power. So one of the stocks I like is Sherwin-Williams. You only have so many options if you want to paint your house. If you look at Sherwin-Williams stock, nothing of quality in this market is necessarily cheap, but you have a dividend above the 10-year Treasury. You have an excellent looking chart, and I tend to believe that the risk to stocks in 2022 is firmly to the upside. You have muted views across the street. Typically, when everyone is saying the same thing, that's not what happens. So if it's overly bullish or overly bearish, you typically have the opposite working for you. I think you still have a tremendous amount of cash on the sideline, $4.5 trillion in money markets, $1 trillion of announced buybacks. I would say that buyback number increases. I think earnings estimates, as they have been since coming out of the pandemic, since the second quarter of 2020, are just too low for next year. And so the story for 2022 is going to be will multiple contraction outpace earnings growth if we see the multiple contraction at all?
Okay, well, that's interesting. But I do like it, especially from both of you, that bullish tone when it comes to markets. Mike, people are going to start to vote on this issue, I think, for the midterms in 2022. This is a big political issue, but it's also it's economically destroying places like the cities we've mentioned already that still need to recover. And they can't if retail shops are going to close, if another CVS and another Walgreens shuts down, which is happening in multiple places.
Yeah, well, I think you just had a reversal in San Francisco that I'm not sure if it was the mayor or the district attorney said that this just doesn't work. This no cash bail, the defund the police. It's all a joke. But I will say that the NYPD seems to have plenty of manpower to go into restaurants and make sure everyone's got their vaccine cards, but not enough manpower to stop sky high murders and any of this other stuff. We are living in a banana republic in these big cities. You have to wonder if the destruction of them is by design, because it's gone so horribly wrong. So look, this is the government that many in New York City voted for. This is what they're getting. Hopefully Eric Adams will make a dramatic change when he gets in there. I believe he said he's going to reinstate the plainclothes unit. Thank God if he does that. Dan Bongino has gone into great detail on this, that it's a very small number of criminals that commit the small crimes and then the large crimes over and over and over again. And if you let these people out in the street, they offend over and over and over again. So look, hopefully this will take a turn with the new age in leadership, but we have to see. He's been surprisingly quiet about a lot of this stuff.
It is time for the Hot Topic Buzz. Morale is low across the nation and in the White House. A new Politico report revealing White House staffers are so unhappy with this administration, they anonymously leaked to the online publication, hoping to alert senior staffers of the lack of camaraderie and natural coordination within the White House. Many will begin looking for new jobs when the president hits 1 year in office. That's interesting, Michael Lee, but at the same time, these are probably young staffers who went in with big dreams, wide-eyed. They're disappointed.
Yeah, look, particularly most of these, I'm sure, are uber progressive, and I think they have been referred to, but I'm not positive, as the snowflakes of a generation, so that when things get hard, it's time to run for the exits. So what I would say is it'll be interesting to watch the White House handle this. And they're not going to sit there and say, hey, staff turnover is normal. These are hard, low-paying jobs. They're going to come up with some lie excuse as to why these people weren't making the cut and they wanted them to go anyway. So it's going to be fun to watch this play out.
Because the espresso machine of the White House isn't working correctly. Oh, my. Yeah, Liz and Michael, stay there. Okay, President Biden's chief of staff, Ron Klain, retweeting a column from The Hill claiming, quote, 2021 wasn't all bad. The op-ed says the economy is booming despite inflation hitting a 40-year high. It makes no mention of the border crisis. Also says the Biden administration is, quote, more competent, more honest, scandal-free. Well, and Mike, to Liz's point, they're grasping at straws because they know that we're going in. 2022 is, next week. And you know what 2022 is? It's midterms. Here come the midterm elections. And we've already seen what happened in Virginia. Remember what happened with the governorship in Virginia. People have had it. They're speaking their minds. And they're voting and saying no to many of these Democratic policies.
Well, Cheryl, it's not just Virginia. Okay, had the Republicans had the legal staff on call in New Jersey the same way they did in Virginia, that election very well may have turned out differently. And that's a state that Biden carried by close to 20 points. This is how much he's collapsed amongst independents, and he's lost support in his own party, too. There was a lot of people out there that wanted to vote for anything but Trump. They basically endorsed the Trump agenda. Okay, but didn't want all the negative headlines, the noise. They just wanted to make it stop. Okay, those people have jumped ship from Joe Biden in record numbers. You went from a guy whose approval rating was in the mid to high 50s as recently as March to the lowest level of any president since Richard Nixon. His poll numbers are below where Richard Nixon's were when Richard Nixon got on the helicopter and resigned from office. Okay, and for Ron Klain to say this year was not that bad, it's borderline insanity, but this guy is a Joy Reid disciple, completely disconnected from reality. And this administration, the vaccine mandates was born out of failure in Afghanistan. So what we're going to see from them is more the gambler's fallacy, more doubling down on what has lost them all this support with the hopes that things will turn around when it seems likely to only get worse.
Quit talking about climate change every time you're asked about a policy initiative, whether you're Pete Buttigieg or Biden or Harris. If I hear climate change one more time, that's the priority. I can't even. Just enough. We've got big problems right now. They need to just, well, whatever. They need to start addressing it, but they won't. All right, guys, stay with me, obviously. It is time for the big buzz of the morning. Think you can ditch technology for an entire month? Well, Kahlua Coffee Liqueur challenging couples to do just that. For a cash prize of $25,000. Nearly half of Americans admit they spend 5 to 6 hours on their phones every day. Company says they're going to give the winning couple a lie detector test to make sure that they did not cheat. Mike Lee?
Yeah, Cheryl, my wife wants to know how much they'll give her for ditching me for a month. In all seriousness, in all seriousness, though, my New Year's resolution is to read a book every 2 weeks and put my phone down. It's a complete waste of time at the end of the day. I think we all look at our phones too much. This is great from Kahlua. I'd say we need more of this stuff in our society.
Yeah, and I think, to that point, like I know for me when I took a week off for the holidays, I'm like, okay, get off social media. Like just a little bit of a break. Let's just, take a moment. And it was actually worth it. But, 25 grand is 25 grand, you guys.